Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south. The 20-year-old from Cricklade who died in a crash caused by a new driver. Now Lawrence's mother joins other parents calling for tighter rules for recently qualified motorists.
If I can stop other parents having to deal with the loss of a child in such a traumatic and tragic way, then I would feel that perhaps it wasn't for nothing.
Going green, the trial in Poole that's using vegetable oil to power vans.
Bring me sunshine in your eyes.
Also this evening, the Dementia hub on the Isle of Wight that's been recognised for the life-changing support it provides for people like Mary and their families.
And tulips as far as the eye can see. We take a look at the stunning spring display that's helped to land these grounds in the finals of the Garden of the Year. Good evening. A mother from Wiltshire whose son died in a car crash along with two friends is calling on the government to introduce tougher restrictions on young drivers.
Lawrence Bruce from Cricklade near Swindon was 20 when he was killed in the collision, along with another passenger and the driver, who were both 18. His mother, Bridget, has joined other parents campaigning to limit how many passengers young drivers can carry. Louisa Britton has the story.
This mother from Cricklade in Wiltshire only has memories left of her son.
And this was our last Christmas together here with his brothers.
Lawrence was on his way home from an all-night party with 4 friends when the car they were travelling in veered onto the path of an oncoming coach on the A420 in Oxfordshire. The 20-year-old died at the scene, along with the driver and another passenger.
The driver was another young man. He had been driving for a few months. I feel that it's likely he fell asleep at the wheel. I don't think at that age he probably had the maturity to think about the implications of him driving that morning.
Bridget has joined forces with other bereaved families who want to introduce a graduated driving licence, which would ban new drivers under the age of 21 from carrying passengers of a similar age for 6 months. Last week, these mothers travelled to Downing Street to hand in a petition signed by more than 100,000 people.
They need to take road death as seriously as other deaths. You know, knife crime is given so much attention, and yet a young person is 17 times more likely to die in a car crash. I think it's common sense that they shouldn't be in charge of a lethal weapon at the age of 17.
People don't really understand until it happens to them, and we don't want anybody else to get that telephone call, and that's why we're doing this. I mean, I've lost my only child, so I don't want anyone to feel the way I feel now.
Countries like Australia and New Zealand have already introduced a graduated driving licence. There, they've seen a reduction in deaths and serious injuries in crashes involving young people by up to 40%, which is why there are calls to introduce the scheme here.
If I can stop other parents, other families having to deal with the loss of a child in such a traumatic and tragic way, then I would feel that perhaps it wasn't for nothing.
This mother says she'll continue fighting and campaigning, and says the scheme is not to penalise young people, but to save them. Louisa Britton, ITV News.
A pedestrian injured in a crash on the A3 5 days ago has died in hospital from his injuries. A car collided with 36-year-old Jerrick Gomez from Portsmouth last Saturday afternoon at Bramshot near Liphook. His family has been informed. Detectives are asking anyone who saw a man walking along the A3 on either carriageway from 2:30 p.m. onwards on that day to come forward.
A £20,000 reward for information in relation to the 1989 murder of Richard Ricky Haywood in Southampton has been extended for a further 3 months. He was 36 years old when he was fatally shot in his flat above Ambience Jewellers on Shirley Road on Monday the 16th of October 1989. Well, despite a lengthy and complex investigation at the time, no one has been charged with his murder. Officers reappealed to the public for information in October last year, and more than 80 people have been spoken to. The Crime Stoppers reward is now due to expire on June the 25th.
A driver has been jailed after breaking a man's leg when he hit him with his car in Aldershot. Well, a bailiff was attaching a Mercedes belonging to Russell Bishop to his recovery truck to tow it away. Bishop then climbed into the truck and reversed it over the bailiff before driving off. His victim needed surgery and a metal rod attached to his ankle and knee. Bishop, who's 41, has been sentenced to 3.5 years in jail.
A man who tried to start a fire at a petrol station in Bournemouth has been jailed for 4 years. Rory James Bolton Mayo attempted to release fuel from the pumps while repeatedly trying to ignite a lighter at the petrol station on Holdenhurst Road. He was chased by multiple officers and detained after biting one police officer's thigh.
An inspection of Dorset Police has been carried out by His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services, assessing 10 areas of policing.
Well, it rated the force as good at preventing crime and recording data about crime, although its way of investigating crime requires improvement. Well, while there is some improvement in how Dorset Police responds to the public, the inspection says they need to improve how long they take to respond to incidents at all levels. It said the percentage of 999 calls answered within 10 seconds is still too low.
Well, Dorset Police's Chief Constable Amanda Pearson said, "We have invested in reducing call times, strengthening investigations and making sure our service works for everyone in Dorset, which remains one of the safest places in the country."
Now, we've all heard about green electricity, but now the vans being used by one of the region's biggest energy suppliers will soon all be environmentally friendly.
Well, it follows a trial in Poole where Scottish and Southern Electricity is using vegetable oil in place of diesel. Richard Slee has more.
This has been an 18-month-long trial where many of the vans used by SSEN have been converted to run on hydro-treated vegetable oil, or HVO. Drivers fill up as normal, but what comes out of this van in emissions is 90% less than the usual diesel fuel.
We're all about trying to make the environment friendly, slow down climate change, just look after people's future. For us, the way we can do it is go through by using hydro-treated vegetable oil, as that is a cleaner fuel than diesel that we found.
HVO is a renewable fuel made from plants that have absorbed CO2 from the air. Each of these vans covers tens of thousands of miles every year, so there is an environmental impact.
There's no difference in driving the vehicles whatsoever between the old vans and the new vans, and the fact that we're driving these new vans now is excellent for the environment, and I feel good to be a part of all of that.
This trial has been so successful that by the end of the year, the company hopes that all of its 2,000 vehicles will be running on hydrated vegetable oil. Richard Slee, ITV News, Poole.
3 of Hampshire's hospitals are to become more energy efficient, saving the NHS millions of pounds over the next 20 years. LED lighting will be installed at Basingstoke and North Hampshire Hospital and at Andover War Memorial Hospital. Solar panels will also be put in place at the Royal Hampshire County Hospital in Winchester.
Up to 50 new green buses will be driving across the south in the next 2 years. The zero-emission vehicles are due to be delivered to the Isle of Wight, Brighton and Hove, Surrey and Wiltshire by spring 2027. As part of a £38 million investment from the government. Now, the parent company behind Southern Trains says it's making detailed plans to prepare its network for this year's Brighton and Hove Pride. The annual festival will take place on the weekend of the 2nd and 3rd of August. Hundreds of thousands of revellers are expected. Govia Thameslink Railway says it's going to provide more trains and extra capacity to help passengers get to and from the city safely. Well, the singer Mariah Carey will be this year's headliner. But she probably won't get there on the train, just thinking. Anyway, you're watching ITV News Meridian across the south. Still to come, Holly will be here with the full forecast.
Yes, and there are some changes afoot as the Easter holidays wear on. Join me to find out exactly what's going on.
I just want the sun to continue. And of course, you can find more on today's top stories in the region all through the day on our website. itv.com/Meridian is the address. 0808 1010 095 is the number to call to tell us your stories, and do follow us on social media. Now, the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. With the details for us this evening, here's Charlene White.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the latest on the Trump tariffs. He's had a dramatic change of mind and put those changes on pause. In the United States, stocks fell when the market opened. Here, it surged. We'll make sense of all of that for you. Another court defeat for Rebecca Vardy and another victory for Colleen Rooney over the Agatha Christie libel trial. And the King and Queen wrap up their tour of Italy. So join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
We certainly will. Now, the first and only dementia hub on the Isle of Wight has been recognised for its work on a national scale.
Alzheimer Cafe Isle of Wight opened its dementia hub less than a year ago, offering a one-stop shop for those living with the disease, as well as support for their families, friends and carers.
Well, the people who use it say it's changed their life at a time when it can often feel isolating. As Cara Digby now reports.
Spring sunshine in your eyes.
Everyone here is so friendly and warm and welcoming, so you couldn't have a better place.
Mary is 81 and was diagnosed with dementia 2 Christmases ago.
I do have quite a lot of good days. Some people refuse to believe there's anything wrong with me, so that must be something to be proud of. But there are other days when, you know, the fog comes down, that's what I call it, foggy, and I'm totally unable to concentrate in the same way.
The Parklands Dementia Resource Centre is open Monday to Friday, where people like Mary can take part in daily wellbeing clubs, as well as get support from Citizens Advice and Age UK. There's also rooms for service users, family and carers to book in salon and therapy treatments. It's not just benefiting those with dementia. Margaret is a volunteer and, having looked after her late husband who had dementia, says this hub is a place for respite.
Coming here, it just gives them a break. You can go off and not have to worry. They're in happy hands, and after they've been here a few weeks, they realise they're very happy. I mean, they come and they smile and they say, oh, we've got to go home now, you know. And as they go, I say to them sometimes from reception desk, have you had a nice afternoon? Oh, wonderful, they say. And they go out to see them, and which reassures the carer that they've had a good time.
It's brilliant. I just wish this had been possible when my wife was going through dementia, when she was living in the community. When they've been so supportive to me that this is one way of paying back, I guess, but I don't look upon it like that. I enjoy meeting so many different people.
For the vital services it's offering, the charity has recently been named the winner of the Dementia Care category at the National Care Awards.
We know statistics are showing that 1 in 2 of us will be affected by, not necessarily living with it, but 1 in 2 of us will be affected by this disease by 2030. That's huge. And the more people are aware of it and understand, that's got to be a great thing. And this award means that we've got purpose and a reason, and people are understanding that the work we do is of importance and it's significant in helping that community to do that work.
Plans are in place to expand, with the hopes of creating a dementia-friendly garden, along with outdoor woodwork and art spaces.
I got hooked on it, really. As soon as I came through, I knew I was in the right place. It was like a comfort thing, really. And I think if we could only have more of these, you know, it would be wonderful, really.
Cara Digby, ITV News, Cowes.
Does look a lovely place. Now, at a time when many high street businesses are struggling to stay afloat, takeaways across the region are bucking the trend.
Well, the Tonight programme is looking at how, in the last 8 years, the number of takeaways in England has increased by nearly 18%. But with the advent of delivery apps, what does it mean for the future of our high streets?
It's a real struggle for our hospitality sector in particular. They have struggled to recover from COVID. They aren't back to full strength. We haven't seen a return in high streets and city centres to full visitor footfall and numbers. And those businesses have been hit by high energy, high food price inflation, labour costs and the cost of living. And that means that around a third of them are operating at or below break even.
And you can watch the Tonight programme, High Streets Are Takeaways Taking Over, on ITV and ITVX from 8:30 this very evening.
Let's get some sport, and both Portsmouth and Oxford United lost their matches in the Championship last night, leaving them both 3 points above the relegation zone. Pompey's manager John Mousinho described the injury-time defeat at Coventry as agony. Frank Lampard's playoff-chasing side scoring in the 94th minute. On Saturday, Portsmouth host relegation rivals Derby County.
There was also huge disappointment for Oxford United, who fell behind to a Ronnie Edwards header after just 10 minutes. Oxford did pull a goal back thanks to a superb header by Stanley Mills and pressed for an equaliser. But a QPR goal in injury time sealed their fate. Next up for Oxford, a trip to Sheffield Wednesday.
Keepers at Marwell Zoo near Winchester are celebrating the birth of cotton-top tamarin twins. The highly endangered primates arrived just in time for National Siblings Day, which is today. Zoo staff say the pair, born to mum Gert and dad Miko, are settling in really well to their new home. The public will soon be invited to help name them once their genders have been confirmed.
They are very sweet.
Yes.
They have hair like me when I get up in the morning. It sticks up just like that. Now, it has fantastic views across the South Downs and River Arun and a rich history. Now, the grounds at Arundel Castle are competing to be named the Garden of the Year.
Well, it's one of 8 in the public vote run by historic houses, and with the sun shining over the Easter holidays, we sent Lucy Warhurst along to find out why the castle's garden is so special.
It's a cacophony of colour. Nearly 140 varieties of tulips in full bloom, and Arundel Castle is famous for them.
So talk to me about this particular bouquet.
Oh, this is absolutely beautiful, with tiered areas of tulips, and then there's beautiful Apple Dawn of Beauty, there's Purple Prince, Purple Dream. It's a stunner.
Head gardener and landscape designer Martin Duncan has been planning it for a year.
So this year it is stunning. The results, I mean, you can tell on the people's faces coming through, they're just loving it. You know, we're getting thousands, I mean, well over 2,000 a day at times, you know, people just coming and enjoying the tulips.
There's something quite special about a castle, whether it's the history or the majesty. But in spring, on a sunny day, well.
And with 150,000 tulips, it makes this into a real fairy tale castle.
Arundel Castle boasts soaring towers set on 40 acres of stunning grounds in the South Downs. But today, it's the tulips that are the star of the show.
We did over 1.4 million bulbs over the last decade. So, yeah, flower power personified.
Each one planted by 8 resident gardeners and a team of volunteers.
We started sort of September, sort of starting to cut things back, and into November the bulbs turned up, and then we started planting them and we finished just before Christmas. Very busy.
So 120,000 bulbs planted this year. How many did you plant?
Well, I got to 2,000 and then I lost count. It was so many. I just kept going.
They're hoping it's enough to get the public vote for this year's Historic Houses Garden of the Year. These flowers will be in bloom for another 2 weeks. Then the wildflowers take over. But they're already planning next year. Lucy Warhurst, ITV News, Arundel.
Absolutely stunning. 2,000 bulbs, that lady,
Yeah.
or over.
Yeah.
How many could you do?
I've planted about 20 in the autumn, and they've come up really well, but it's not quite that kind of
Not
scale.
that
As a
standard.
show, it's not quite 1.4 million bulbs over a decade.
But maybe next year you could up it.
Yeah, maybe I'll go to 15, possibly
15?
another 20.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're almost there.
See how it turns
and
out.
what a beautiful day it was there in Arundel. And it's been lovely, hasn't it? The sunshine is continuing to glow on us.
Yeah, once again, those blue skies are broken out. We did start with some cloud around. You can just see it here in Southampton as it moved its way from west to east, and those blue skies broke out behind. So it was taken by Catherine Phillips first thing this morning. And yeah, for all of us, we've just ended up with those lovely sunny skies overhead and a sunshade just about the only good use for an umbrella at the moment, given that we haven't had any significant rainfall now in almost 3 weeks.
Oh.
So our April rainfall stands at 0% of the monthly average, surprise, surprise. Sunshine, on the other hand, stands at 52%. That doesn't even include today's sunshine. So as of 30% of the way through the month, we've already had more than half your typical monthly sunshine. So yeah, certainly a pretty spectacular start to the month.
Yeah.
So the sunshine is great, but I'm starting to feel, I know we're all hay fever sufferers here,
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel the beginnings of the hay fever season.
Yes, and you struggle with grass, don't
Yes,
you? Is
it's
that
the
right?
grass,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, so we're not technically in the grass pollen season yet. Normally that starts about mid-May, but the experts say they're just starting to pick up the first grains of grass pollen around now at the moment. The big one right now is tree pollen.
Yes,
and
tell me about it.
these are the levels for tomorrow. So as of tomorrow, we're up to very high. So that's birch and that's ash as well. I'm sorry, peeps.
I'm just
going to
put my head in a bag or something, just hide. It could be the only way.
It's difficult with your job, I
It
would
could
say.
be, but you know.
The other thing, it's not just pollen actually, also UV now is getting to the top end of moderate. So level 5 is moderate, as I say. Once you get to 6, then you get to high. And I think it can take people by surprise at this time of year. Firstly, because it can still feel a bit chilly, especially if you've got a breeze coming in off the sea. But the sun is as strong now as it is at the end of August, and I think that can take people by surprise at this time in April. So yes, more sunshine to enjoy for the time being. Just watch out for that UV. Take care.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Yes, we certainly had lots of sunshine around for today once that early cloud cleared, and we've got more to come for tomorrow. Lots of blue sky overhead and temperatures that bit higher as well. High pressure is still dominating the scene. That's giving us a chilly night tonight, mist and fog around actually as well. And then we start to see a transition. That high pressure loses its influence, and by the time we get to Sunday, it's more of a changeable look, and that's the case into next week as well. Out there for this evening, there's some sunshine around tonight. Starry skies overhead and temperatures falling away. So a patchy frost on the cards in more rural spots. Some mist and fog around as well, especially to the south of the M4. I think we could see quite a bit of it around. So yes, a frosty start for some, a foggy start for others. You'll probably only see one or the other though. You're unlikely to get both. But we could well have some poor visibility to start the day tomorrow morning, certainly. By about 9 or 10 o'clock, though, that should have cleared inland. Some coastal areas could possibly keep a bit of low cloud or mistiness later on as we head through the day. But for most of us, that sunshine emerging and temperatures that much higher than today's values as well. We're talking high teens or low 20s for tomorrow, so the warmest day of this stretch. Take a look then at our times of high water for tomorrow. We've got Poole at 8:48 and again at 9:15 into the evening. And the picture for tomorrow evening and overnight shows a couple of misty patches around as this high pressure still just about holds on, a chilly-ish night. And a bright start on Saturday, but the high is losing its influence, so more clouds thicken through the course of Saturday. We could possibly see some showers later, and that does set the scene for a transition to a much more changeable look for Sunday and into next week. Take care.
TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
And that is it from us for this evening. In a moment, the ITV Evening News with Charlene White tonight.
And Derek will have your late news, so join him if you can. But for now, from all the team here, thanks for your company. Have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.